In this video, we are using the game The Amazing Labyrinth in order to develop a system for an urban alley crawl for solo role-playing. Hello gamers, Matthew here from Grey Army Gaming. What you see before you is one of my favorite games I had when I was a child, The Amazing Labyrinth. Now I've been playing this game recently with my own kids, and it has occurred to me that there are fantastic resources in this game for solo role-playing. The game itself has a lot of different components that could be used in solo role-playing in interesting ways, but I'm not really interested so much for this video in the board or in the cards or in these pieces. What I'm really interested in is these specific tiles that you get with the game. It is these loose tiles that we will use now to construct our urban alley crawl. There are two kinds of tiles in this game. One set of tiles, a total of 12, has these various animals, objects, pictures on them, and they take a couple different forms, whether corner pieces or these three-prong pieces. Over here we have 22 blank tiles, and these come in two forms, either straight pieces or corner pieces. The tiles on the right will serve now to give our urban alley its structure and its shape. The tiles on the left will serve as markers for when we need to roll on the chart for random city encounters. 12 tiles with symbols will give us a maximum number of random events that can happen in each session, a total of 12. Now, in a particular session, you may end the session earlier because the narrative has come to a good concluding point, but 12 events is usually a good number to help give you a very robust and interesting narrative in your solo game. Because we have a greater number of these blank tiles, we will always use 2 of these blank tiles for each one of the symbol tiles. We will begin by laying out a symbol tile, which means we will begin with something happening in the narrative, after which we will then lay down 2 of these blank tiles. So let's go ahead and shuffle these different groups of tiles and go ahead and set up our solo game. To begin the game and to make it visually interesting, I'm going to use this red tile and use a Dungeons & Dragons figurine, here a small little rogue halfling. We begin our narrative now by choosing our first symbol tile and laying it down here next to our figurine. Let's move our figurine over to the symbol and then go ahead and roll on the random encounter table. So we rolled a 1 on our D100 table here, and that is a fire is raging now through the city. This is where our narrative begins, with a massive fire. Now that's super interesting. We can work with that and begin to role play with that beginning idea. Following our first narrative element, we will go ahead now and add 2 of our blank tiles, making our alleyway extend down and slightly to the right. Having laid down 2 blank tiles, we can now choose our next symbol tile and put this down. Here it is, a dragon. I should just briefly mention here that there are 2 different ways that you can use these symbols. The first is the simplest way. The symbol is merely a prompt for you to roll on the random encounter table. But another way to use these symbols is actually to try to incorporate them into the narrative. So we see here we have a dragon. Perhaps there is something interesting that a dragon can contribute to the role that we make. And if you are able to incorporate the symbol that you lay down with the role, it makes it even more interesting. So let's go ahead now and get our second roll on the random urban encounter, city encounter table. And it is a 12. And a 12 is that gladiator battles are being held. So maybe in this part of the narrative now, we see a train of individuals walking through the alleyway, heading to the gladiatorial arena where they're going to be having a fight. And one of these gladiators has the symbol of a dragon on his armor. And they're heading down in the alleyway. The question is, do we want to follow them or go the other direction since our road splits? Well, let's go ahead and try to follow them. And with that symbol card down, we will now add 2 more blank tiles to our alleyway. And we've got 2 straight pieces. The alleyway continues straight ahead as the gladiator and his crew are walking into the distance. And as you can see now, we continue in this fashion, laying down a symbol tile followed by 2 blank tiles, by another symbol tile, and so on and so forth, until eventually we come to our final symbol tile, which is the end of our alleyway. And we've had at this point 12 encounters on our crawl through this alley. To mark the end of the alley crawl, I'll just throw down this final tile here, this blue one, to show that is the end of our session. And to make things exciting, to wrap up your session in a really cool way, I always try to make the final symbol tile here something of a boss or a major happening that brings the whole narrative to a conclusion. So let's go ahead and roll out this final tile and see what actually happens in our last event. And with a 79, we get this. A freak storm buries the town in 5 feet of snow. So we can say something like this: whereas we began the story with this fire that was spreading through the village, and we had all these different things happen on our wandering through the alleyway, in the end, we come to the final destination, and there's a massive snowstorm that drops a ton of snow, putting out the fire in the village, in the town, saving the town, and allowing us now to continue to live another day. Well, there you have it, folks. A quick run through of how to use this great game, the Amazing Labyrinth, in order to develop your own urban alley crawls for your solo role-playing. Now, I will go ahead and put a link in the description below where you can download the D100 chart of city encounters that I have been using here in this video. Hopefully, in the coming weeks and months, I will be able to upload some more videos where I actually do some playthrough with this rule set to show you how it can actually work when you run through an entire session of solo role-playing. If you appreciate this kind of content, please do give me a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel. I will continue to produce more videos dealing with solo role-playing. And most of all, thank you for joining us here today at Grey Army Gaming for the future of gaming.